So how's it going, guys? I am here with your Avengers Infinity War review. And I know a lot of people are probably looking forward to this review. Some people enjoyed and hated me for my Civil War review. I didn't like that movie. And it caused a pretty big rampage here on this channel. A lot of hateful comments, a lot of people agreeing with me as well, you know, appreciating the fact that I didn't have to like the movie because everybody else liked it. But the thing is that, you know, the movie storyline, it was ridiculous, and I wasn't into it at all. And, you know, I thought that they misused the characters. And I had a lot of problems. So go watch that review if, you know, you want a little bit of continuity. But gotta say, I am happy to be able to state here that the Infinity War is an excellent movie. Or at least a very good one. Or we could at the very, very, very least say it's a good movie. I enjoyed it a lot. I don't know what my second, third viewings, you know, will yield, but the first one was a pretty good impression, I have to say. Well, this was a fun movie. This is what I would have expected out of Civil War. This is what I would expect out of really any Marvel movie with these classic characters. And this just hit in all the right spots. So you had all the Avengers there. And, you know, it's almost a bit shocking how they use certain characters more than others, and the way how they split up the time. Like, really, when you kind of add it all up, there really wasn't a lot of Captain America in here. You know, Tony Stark gets way more face time here. You know, we see a lot more from the Vision. And, you know, there's just a lot, there's a lot going on in this movie. And the thing is, there was a lot going on in Civil War. And I understand that, you know, Civil War was not an Avengers movie. I totally get that. Because I don't think you guys want me to go so far as Age of Ultron, which is even worse, which is actually technically the last Avengers film. But I still consider Civil War to be an Avengers film because of all the Avengers that were in it. You know, if you're going to put Iron Man and Captain America in there, I'm pretty much going to tell you it's probably somewhat of an Avengers film. So, this movie handles the characters so much better, and I have to say, the big plus was having the Guardians of the Galaxy cast in this film. That, as I explained in my reviews of those films, and I think I might have even brought it on home even more in Volume 2, those characters are unknown to me. I don't know when Guardians of the Galaxy was released. You know, when was the first comic book published for that series? I had no idea what Guardians of the Galaxy was when it was first announced in 2013 or 2012, whenever they said it was going to be coming out. So I kind of rolled my eyes. I was like, oh, I don't even know what this is about. I've never even heard of it. And then I saw it, and I was pleasantly surprised by it. And I said, hey, this is a great superhero movie, or somewhat of a superhero movie. You know, it's a Marvel movie, certainly, but I was like, hey, this is great. And the sequel was even better, I think. In my personal opinion, I thought that Volume 2 was even superior. I thought there were more jokes. I just enjoyed the story more. Hey, I just thought it was really good. And putting them in the film, putting Chris Pratt in there, Star-Lord, getting, you know, a Rocket Raccoon, and just, you know, Gamora and everything, everybody in there, I think it just added up to one hell of a film. You mix in everybody in there, the Doctor Strange parts with, you know, and like I said, once again, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. I just, you know, couldn't see anybody else in that role. You know, Robert Downey Jr., even a movie like Iron Man 3, I even said that the man was entertaining even in that disaster of a film. I said that there was one thing keeping these films afloat, it was Robert Downey Jr.'s performances. But the thing is also, it's just the time management. This is a very long film. I'm not even going to lie. I'm still going to have to kind of... It felt long still. I know you say, but Brad, you said that you liked this movie. Yeah, but it still felt long. I'm sorry. I know that The Last Jedi was like 2.5 hours. I totally understand that. And maybe that's just because I like Star Wars more, and I just like that film more than this film. Whatever the case may be. The movie still feels long despite it being entertaining. And there are parts that drag in this film. The final battle with Thanos is just very, 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 very goddamn long. And I get that he is one of the most powerful people in the Marvel Universe, probably up, with Galactus and you name it. But I'm saying the battle was so long. I really felt that, there could have been some cuts here and there. I know I went full on in on Age of Ultron and Civil War for not doing this, but, I said there comes a time when there's just a little bit too much going on and they need to just kind of start wrapping things up. But for the most part, fight with Thanos was great. I think the performance from Thanos was great. I think he was portrayed in a good way. He looked good, too. I have to say the CGI really worked for Thanos, and I thought that he came off in a good way. He looked imposing. He looked like a big villain. And, the characters interacting with him, like, these are some good fight scenes. They're probably the best I think we've seen out of the Avengers. And, I mean, really here, though, I have to really compliment the performances. They've gotten to a point now where they really have found their niche, where they know where it's time to get serious and when it's time to joke around. And I gotta say, and I said I liked Spider-Man Homecoming. I know a lot of people were split on that film. I think there was probably even more people split on Homecoming than they were on Civil War. I don't know what it is, but when it comes to these Avenger films, most people just love them. And there's only a few odd men out like me with Age of Ultron who didn't like it. But now I see as time progresses, more people probably watch the Blu-rays and they watch it on TV or whatever. They're starting to kind of find flaws in those movies even. And I found a lot of people saying that, this film was like on par with the first Avengers. And, the first Avengers was good. It was definitely better than Age of Ultron. I have to say that this film was a lot better than the first Avengers. It was. It was way heads and tails better. Just better presentation, a better flow. It was long. So were all the other movies. So that's really a moot point here, because if we're going to say that the Avengers is too long, then we might as well just say that they're all bad based on that. But no, this was a better story. Finally, because I think the reason why this one was so good is because they were holding back in each film. And I explained myself, and above the ring in all of the videos from everybody, when I talked about Age of Ultron, when I talked about Civil War, nobody wanted to hear me out. They got 5 minutes into the video. Oh, he's talking negative about the movie. I'm not going to listen to his constructive points or criticism. Thumbs down, angry comment, move on. Some people commented multiple times, which was getting a bit scary to say the least. It reached levels of ridiculous obsession with, it can't handle another man's opinion on a film, a movie, a fictional work. The thing is, I said about that movie is, I said, I was growing sick and tired of these movies holding back on what they wanted to do, simply for the reason of fitting them all. Oh, how dandy. Look how all these movies come together. And I will admit, it is pretty cool seeing all these universes come together. Like, I didn't watch Doctor Strange or anything, but it is pretty cool seeing all these people crossing over. So then when the Guardians of the Galaxy show up, I mean, it's just a full-on blast from that point. And I said, like, that is a big up. Having the Guardians there really improved the quality of the movie for me. Because, I mean, like, all my favorites were there. And, and plus you had Spider-Man in there, and you just had a lot going on to really help improve it, because now everybody was in this. People got their Black Panther fix and everything. You know, he was even in this movie, so I'm sure a lot of people were happy about that. Another movie that I didn't see, but regardless of that, you know, the thing is that this movie brought, I'll say, it's not, still not as good as Winter Soldier. Oh, hell no, it's not as good as that one. I still got to stand by that film, as I say that film is a masterpiece. I mean, the way how they laid that out, I thought that Marvel Studios and Disney should be very proud of that one, because that one just, it hit all the right spots. It hit the cinematic G-spot. I mean, it just had everything you could really want in a superhero movie. Well, it might not be that good. This movie does have everything. It has the action. There's more character development. You know, we have a lot of sad moments, you know, with, you know, involving Gamora. You know, we get to see her relationship with Thanos, and I really actually enjoyed that part. How Thanos actually, you know, started taking a liking to her, for maybe wanting to control her, you know, for the most part. But you know, the way how they're wiping out all her people, and Thanos says, you know, the blade he gives her, to, you know, it's all about balance, and she tries to look as like the villagers are being wiped out, and he turns her away. I really liked that scene. I thought it conveyed a certain feeling about it, and like kind of a bizarre side of Thanos, because we just think of him as being this brutal titan, and we don't think about him having any sorts of emotions or really taking a liking to anybody. But we kind of see that here, and that was just a little bit of an interesting side of him. So, you know, we see a bit more of Star-Lord and Gamora's relationship that they have between the two of them. And, you know, they don't really get so much into it because, like I said, there's so much going on. They're going from scene to scene. And, like I said, that's also what hurt the other movies. They've got so much to do in this movie, so much groundwork still to lay. And that's what really pissed me off about all the other movies. They had all that time to explain all that stuff, and they still didn't even explain everything. So, before you know it, you know, it's kind of like the Infinity Stones kind of just, you know, they're just all of a sudden appearing, basically. Yeah, I know, you know, you had the one always in the Vision's head, and that was there since Civil War. Yeah, I get that. You know, but it's just like, you know, they just pelt the story at you right away. I would have enjoyed more of a precursor coming out of Civil War, really. Just kind of like all of a sudden we get this thrown in all together. And that's what I always was complaining about, which no one seemed to really get. As I said, they held back so much. Like, when we all just pretty much waited for, you know, we saw Thanos already. I mean, we saw him in Guardians of the Galaxy. We saw him already. So, I mean, that mystery had already been unearthed. So I said there was no reason why we couldn't have Thanos. Like, in Civil War, there was no main villain. And the same thing in the Avengers. Like, there was no main villain in the first movie as well. Like, I was complaining. It's like, what do we have to do? I mean, okay, Age of Ultron, we had Ultron. All right. But I said that movie really failed on a lot of ends. Go watch that review if you want to see exactly why I didn't like it. But, you know, they wasted all that time and all the excitement. So I'm saying, like, I really went into this movie just not excited. I was like, well, you know what? I'm not like a big Avengers fan from the film perspective. So I said, I'm probably not going to even like this. So I kind of went in with like a bit of a bad attitude. And I ended up really enjoying the film. And that's probably why. I probably went in with really low standards. And I was expecting more out of Civil War too. So, but the thing is, I really wasn't expecting a lot. Maybe that helped out to it. But no, this was just a better story. We finally had a good villain. We finally had an epic battle. It finally felt like a superhero film. You know, no Down on the Farm with Hawkeye from Age of Ultron. None of that nonsense with, you know, the Accords and the nonsensical United Nations putting sanctions on the Avengers. None of that stupid nonsense, that garbage that marred the other films. We don't have to put up with any of that not like. Why did the story have to get all tied up with all the political jargon and shit and all these different ideas that really didn't lend anything to the overall entertainment of the film? It just was, oh, here's some story, here you go. Like, I don't want any of this story. You can have it. This is garbage. The Accords. What is this stuff? I mean, like, you watch this for an escape, and they're telling you, oh, that the United Nations doesn't want you to have Avengers. I mean, you know, come on already. Is that the last thing? We really need more politics in the damn film. Okay, so they left that all out in this film, and we just finally had a good time here. I mean, really, we did. And like I said, great addition with the Guardians in this one. Just to hear Drax and everything and all the different quips. And, you know, also Tom Holland in there, along with Robert Downey Jr. Just, we had, you know, and then we got to see these first times. Like, when you have Star-Lord, when he's trying to impersonate Thor and act like in his deep voice. Those parts were really funny, and there's a lot of moments in this film where, yes, there were so many moments of charm, and that's what it was missing all this time. There was no charm in any of them, and this is why I keep saying this is why I'm such a mark for the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, and I know people give me shit for it. And I even said, I always talk about Spider-Man 3, and I'll always say how much they butchered Venom and everything, and it was the worst entry in the series. But there was still a level of charm in that film, up to a certain extent. And I said that's why I would actually put it above certain, you know, Disney-produced films of Marvel, because of the charm factor. And that goes a long way. Personally, for me, if a movie doesn't have charm, it's not charming, it's not going to woo me, it's not going to keep me coming back for more, and I probably won't rewatch it even if I liked it, because there's just really no connection there. But once you kind of seep into, once a movie charms you, it seeps into your subconscious, and you have these funny moments, and you look back on the film and you remember these good moments, which this film has, and then you're gonna like probably want to come back for more. And there was a number of times in this film where it did that. And I can't even think for the life of me of any of the previous film, from Civil War to Age of Ultron, even the first Avengers, which wasn't even that bad. I can't even think of really one memorable moment from those films. I think back to the first Avengers. I'll remember you had the attack on the city. You know, and that, you know, that was pretty good. I'm saying, like, you know, but they were fewer and far between. Like, that's just one scene. We think back to Civil War, okay, the airport. Age of Ultron, some people will say the Hulk bust. When I think back to Age of Ultron, you know what I remember? Like, I'm not even joking. More than anything else, is them laughing like a bunch of goofballs in a bar trying to lift up... no, wait a minute. What was it? Yeah, they were trying to lift up Thor's hammer. Was that in Age of Ultron? Was that in Civil War? Anyway, what was definitely was in Age of Ultron was down on the farm with Hawkeye, and I did definitely not enjoy that shit at all. So I didn't have to worry about all of that in this film. It didn't have any of that. It just had a lot of humorous moments, crucial moments that felt like big moments, a big villain presence, and that's what really made me like focusing on this film. Didn't really divert my attention. It's just because it didn't get tangled up in all the BS that the other films did. This just finally let itself be a superhero movie, like a Bryan Singer X-Men, or a Sam Raimi Spider-Man, or for God's sakes, even like a Spider-Man Homecoming. It didn't lose track of what it was. It didn't for a minute say, oh, well, we need to be political, we need to be more realistic in this sense. No. Stop being realistic. Stop trying to put in real-world scenarios and just write a superhero movie to entertain people. Stop, it was enough for, this movie also didn't focus so much on just doing little things for the comic book fans and satisfying, like, little things that they wanted to see with little Easter eggs. There was probably some in there that I didn't notice, but it was getting ridiculous already. With, let's put this in for the, no, how about we focus on the quality of the film, guys? Why don't we do that first, and then we can focus on, pleasing everybody with little touches here and there. And they did that this time around. That's what I was asking for, simply. All I wanted was just a good villain, a good story, and we finally got that. And you can't say that that was in any other films, because it wasn't. It's just a fact. And so here I am, saying that I enjoyed the film. And it wasn't me being a Marvel hater. Like, guys, like I've said it like time and time again. Like, people are calling me a DC spy, DC fanboy. A DC fanboy. Who is this right here? Who is this guy right here? Is he DC? Oh, he must be DC, right? Oh, yeah, he's DC Comics, right? Who's that? That's Batman? Is that Superman right there? Is that the Martian Manhunter? That Green Lantern? Probably is, because I'm a DC fanboy after all. I'm not a Marvel fan. That's why I hate on all these movies, right? I mean, and that's what I'm going to do right here, is I'm going to hate on the Infinity War, because, I'm just here to put over the DC universe. Now, guys, I enjoyed this film because it finally decided to be a superhero film. And it didn't try to be something it was not. It didn't bore me to death with all the other extraneous garbage that the other films did. It just stayed focused, and they benefited from that. So there you go, guys. I enjoyed the film. I thought it was really good. I thought it was the best Avengers film there was. Like I said, this is better than the first one, better than Age of Ultron, better than Civil War. Was it better than Spider-Man Homecoming? Probably not so much, because I'm going to be biased towards Spider-Man. I'm just going to basically say that that's better. It might not be my beloved Sam Raimi films, but hey, Spider-Man Homecoming was a very good film, and it was very entertaining, and I don't know if I could put it above that, and I'm definitely not putting it above Winter Soldier, but it is definitely one of the better Marvel films. I think most people agree. It's an entertaining film. It's a little bit long. It could have, benefited from some editing and, not so long of fighting scenes. Oh my God, that Thanos fight is long. But there you go, guys. There is your Avengers Infinity War review, and I'll see you next time.